Now we're never going to animate every one of these bones, so we need to hide them and the channels that we won't be using. Now, during our experimentation, we kind of left him in a little mangled position here. So let's click into Setup, and hit the Enter key, and it'll bring up a Create Key dialog. Select All Objects and Create Key at 0. Click OK. So we click back into Animate. He's in a setup position. Now let's hide the bones we won't need. For example, leg right and leg left we will use, but thigh right and everything underneath it doesn't need to be used. It's all being controlled by IK from the foot. So we'll hold down the Control key and we'll select everything underneath it. Select thigh left as well. Leave leg left and leg right alone. We'll right click to red lock those. We'll change the draw modes to N, so we don't have to look at them. If you click on the bone icon on the leg right and leg left, you can close the branch up. Now on the feet, we need to use these two controls, but we don't need to see the ankles, the IK ankles. So we'll right click on those, change their draw modes to N. Click on the arch left and arch right icons to close up the branch. Switch to a front view here. We're controlling all of these bones in the arm, so everything beyond our first bicep, which we're animating for the elbow, can be hidden. So hold down the Control key and highlight everything from bicep 2R to wrist attach R, everything from bicep 2L to wrist attach L. And let's highlight back muscle left and back muscle right. We're not going to need any of those. Right click to red lock those. Change their draw modes to N. And we'll click on bicep 1R's icon to close up the branch. Bicep 1L. Our fingers and hands. Since we compiled all of the controls for the fingers into the bank, we won't need to see these other two joints. So we will hold down the Control key. We'll highlight thumb 2L, index 3, index 2, pinky 3, pinky 2. Anything that says 3 and 2, highlight, because those have all been consolidated into the first joint. Right click on those to red lock them, change their draw modes to N, and then click on each finger's icon to close up the branch. So all we have left now is animation controls. Now there are some axes that we're never going to use. For example, we don't need to translate the thumb in X, Y, or Z. So if we go down here into the motion block and right click, these colors go away and the manipulator doesn't show X, Y, and Z anymore. So let's turn off translates, click on the move and right click on the colors so they don't show up in the manipulator. Select, click on move, right click on the colors to make X, Y, and Z disappear. If you can't see it, you can't animate it. Do the same thing for the right. Click on move, right click on the colors to make them go away. And anything else that just rotates, we need to turn off the translates on. For example, bicep does not need to translate, so we'll turn off the biceps. The neck and head don't need to translate. And the backs don't need to translate. and especially the butt. But the hips do, because it moves our whole body around. Now on some of these we won't need even parts of the rotates. I'll switch into a perspective view and target one of the legs here. These legs only need bank because their sole purpose is to turn the knee inside and out. So let's undo that. We'll go to the move, turn off the translates, go to rotate, and hide heading and pitch. So only bank is visible now. Do the same thing for leg right. Disable the translates and hide heading and pitch. Let's go down here to the feet. The arch will not need to translate, and it doesn't need to bank. We have the heel for that. The toe doesn't need to translate. I'll turn that off. And it only needs to rotate on pitch, so it just needs to go up and down. Heading is what controls the other one. Let's do the same thing to the left foot here. Disable X, Y, and Z translate. Hide bank. Do the same thing on the toe, except hide everything but pitch. So now we are left with a fairly lean model. So let me show you what we use for animating. What we'll use for animating. The reason I left these palms in here is because you can bank on these palms. If you need to roll the fingers in, you can adjust heading and bank the fingers closed. We've left all of the axes on this joint, so we can move the hand in, the finger in, bank that closed, and the palms you can use to close up the hand on heading for fine, subtle nuancing stuff. Now let's highlight the bicep. Use A to target. Bicep rolls the arm and the elbow in and out. Head, neck, pretty self-explanatory. Shoulders can shrug. Back one and back two. Butt is for isolated movements. It separates the lower body from the upper body. Our feet. Click on IK foot right. We can rotate it on heading around his heel. Move him up on his heel. If you click on the arch, we can pitch the arch up. Rotate him on heading, so he's squishing ants. Toe, we can pitch up and down. So now we've got him into a kind of strange position here. Let's go back into setup. Hit the enter key to bring up the create key dialog. Make sure it's set to all objects. Create key at 0. OK. When we click back into animate, now he's back at his default position. Go to File. We're going to save this scene as Body N.